How to turn failure into a stepping stone. Today, we are talking about true alchemy, true transformation. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Healing into Femininity. My name is Joanna, and if you don't know me, you'll get to know me today. So, today we are talking about turning your failures, your shame, your doubt, your insecurities into real stepping stones to continue on the path of your success. Because I believe that this is the number one key of true transformation and actually turning your life around. If you're new to this series, welcome back. But we're in phase three of the proven, repeatable, reliable Dream Builder system, which is a 90-day course, my flagship program that is a system that creates results. Okay. Whatever area of your life you want to upgrade, this is the program for it. And there are three phases. And today we're talking about phase three and the last of the points in the phase three, which is turning failure into a stepping stone. What I know is that, especially after making mistakes and mistakes and mistakes and mistakes from an unconscious perspective, because many times in our earlier life, we do things out of unconsciousness. We don't know better, right? But over here, we say if you do better or if you know better, you do better. And today we're getting to know better so we can do better. But as I said, in the beginning of our lives, we make mistakes because we don't necessarily know better. And one of the things, and I always want to go first, I share. So I'm not here to pretend that I'm perfect or that I've always been perfect. I've been through this system myself and I know where it got me. So I want to share with you a few things so you might relate to it, right? I believe the two most embarrassing things, or the two things that most women are mostly embarrassed about, are number one, how we handle situations with men and how we handle situations with money. Both topics are in the root, right? I consider myself, my channel, and my main message for the broader audience about the fundamentals, the root work, right? Because life begins mastering your survival, right? Because before we can't elevate, we have to master our survival, which is money, sex, and power, right? We have to master those three topics in order to get to the next level. So I know that my most embarrassing topics are those things, right? The way I related to men in the past, right? From one of my first boyfriends who was abusive, right? And then later on to actually already being immersed in this personal development, self mastery. I've invested over 100,000 euro into my personal development, mentorships, learning, traveling, right? Applying those things, being a mentor to other high caliber women. But one part of my life I still haven't really figured out, and that was dealing with men. So I try to couple up with also other powerful men, so I thought. There was a whole another route that I took in order to learn the nature of a man. But what I can say is that I have been in difficult or maybe toxic patterns myself until I learned and let that topic go. Okay. So this was definitely one learning point, and I will tell you how I transformed that. Another point for me was definitely learning how to deal with money. And I believe dealing with both of those things are the same root, as I said. And for me, the turning point for me was when I had a lot of debt coming in, right? As I said, I invested a lot of money into my personal development. And then at one point, my business got shaky, probably due to leaving my fiance. Then I was in a new phase of my life. I tried to survive. I tried to find new ways to cope, right? To make money, to build up myself from a very shaky foundation. And this is how, like a few years later, the receipts came in, which were debt. My account was frozen, and I had to face the consequences of me not standing on business, aka me not truly valuing what I had to bring to the table. Yeah. So I leaked energy, right? Maybe you've heard that word before. I leaked energy, meaning I got drained out of my energy through different relationships, business partnerships, right? I involved myself in a business partnership that wasn't well negotiated. I invested in another coaching program, which felt a little bit out of, like, I did it out of desperation. I wasn't sure in myself. I wasn't sure of the value that I already had because I already had it, but I wasn't sure about it. So I leaked energy. I gave away my energy. I gave away my power. Okay, man and money, both the same energy, the same dynamic that led to a depletion of my energy, which shows in money, right? So that's how we can see that both topics correlate, man and money. So I faced the consequences, and from that time on, I started really limiting access to me and building upon the value that I've already accumulated through the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, having invested in personal development, invested in spiritual development, right? I already had the tools, I already had the resources. I just had to continue to stand on business, okay? So I'm telling you that because nobody's perfect. But one thing I can tell you, because I've already known the tools, right? Turning your failure into stepping stones, I knew that what we have to do once we face the consequence of our actions and we get the receipt and we get that this is not adding up, right? This is not adding up. The first emotion that can come up is shame, right? We are ashamed that we're now at the bottom, right? Like when we're in debt, we think, oh my God, like financially, you're at the bottom, right? You have to get yourself together. You have to focus on getting your money up, right? And it can come with a feeling of shame. But because I already had those tools, I could flip it real quick, take, and that is the thing, take personal accountability, right? And then clean up the mess. These are the three steps that I like to teach here, right? Number one, we become aware of what it is that we have messed up. We look at it, right? Awareness is light. We shed light onto the fucked up things that have been going on in the dark, in the root, in the unconscious, right? And when I speak about unconscious, most of the times we human beings, we have a similar imprint of trauma, which is feeling unworthy, right? Feeling like we're not valuable, feeling betrayed, and feeling abandoned, right? Somehow this happened in our childhood, but this is a very common thing. Most people feel that way. It's kind of a general human conditioning, even that, knowing that you're not the exception. I always like to say that you're not the exception. Most people are traumatized, right? This whole life is a traumatic experience. That's why I teach self mastery, to have the tools so you can get out of victim mode. And number one, as I said, shed light onto the mess, become self aware. And then number two, take full responsibility and accountability for what has happened, even though you didn't know better, right? Because that is adulting. That is becoming an adult. That is becoming mature. That is becoming the master of your own life. You have to clean up the mess, even though you weren't necessarily consciously aware of your patterns and you didn't know that this is what you were doing. But there's a saying in German. I am half Ghanaian, half German. And I believe that the same saying is in English, that like just not knowing doesn't protect you from the facing the consequences, right? Not knowing, just because it's unconscious, doesn't protect you from facing the consequences. Sometimes, even if you don't know, you will reap the consequences, the negative consequences of what you didn't know. And that is the same thing in this case, right? Just because you didn't know better and you couldn't do better doesn't mean that you will face the consequences. I think the point got across, okay? So we feel shame, right? We feel shame, but those three steps can actually quickly take us out of it. Looking at it, right? Instead of pretending that it's not there, we have to feel the feeling of shame. We have to feel the feeling of failure, right? We have to feel the feeling of, oh shit, I didn't know better. Or it hurts to realize that I was dumb, that I was being played, that I was exploited, right? That I didn't manage my energy well, that I didn't really negotiate my value well, right? We want to own it. We want to look at it, put some awareness on it, look at it, and then take full responsibility and say, okay, I'm going to own it. I'm going to own my mess. I'm going to own the bad relationships that I had, and I'm going to own my debt, right? Because either way, I have no other option. The only other option is not really an option, it's to just stick your head in the sand and hide and pretend that it's not there. But trust me, it's not going to go away through that approach, right? So we really want to take accountability and then clean up the mess. And through cleaning up the mess, and what I mean by that is cleaning up the mess is a process because, as I said, first you feel the feelings, you get over it, you take the accountability, which is already part of cleaning up the mess. But then comes a phase of actually building a new skill set. For example, for me, I had to learn how to talk to all of the different institutions, the banks, the tax office, right? The people that I owed the money, right? So I had to own up to it, talk to those people, and not feel small, but actually handle business. Right? Handle business, handle the responsibility of my actions. This made me grow, right? Because I know that many people are afraid of speaking to institutions and handling all of the paperwork and all of the tax things. It built me up to build more confidence in being able to handle more of that, right? The same thing was to actually find ways to reorganize my debt, right? Put everything in one, right? And then find a plan, create a plan on how I would pay it off. And then also making new decisions on how I am going to make more money, right? Thinking in better ways, negotiating my salary, right? I went back into the workforce after being self employed. So I went back into the workforce. I worked as a coach for a governmental institution. So negotiating my salary, then leaving that job because of the low payment, and then taking on another harder job or more challenging job or a more high performing job because I knew I had a goal. My goal was to pay off that debt, and therefore I jumped into a new opportunity and be in a high pressure sales, corporate sales role, right? Again, I've done that many times, but that is being an adult, right? Finding ways to deal with the problem, talk to institutions, right? Cleaning up your mess, and then making better decisions on where to put your energy if it is the right exchange, right? Your time, your expertise, is it being compensated the right way, or do I have to leave the job behind and find a new job, or find a new way to make more money, get back into my personal mission, my purpose, which is coaching, right? So there's always a process of learning and solving another next level problem, right? And that is the ultimate message here, is that turning your failure into a stepping stone is the ultimate skill building, right? The ultimate skill building process. You fail, you figure it out, you already mastered a next level. That is the new foundation that you stand on. From that foundation, you can either also share that with other people and create a service around that, help other people solve that problem. I always like to say solving people's problems is what makes you valuable. The more problems you can solve for other people, the more valuable you become. And that's exactly what I teach in my programs, from the Dream Builder to the Life Mastery program to Into Your Genius to working with the law. It's all about solving problems, right? From emotional, spiritual problems, mental problems, right? Learning how to think, learning how to regulate your nervous system, right? Learning how to create solution oriented thinking and acting. Okay, this is what I teach in my programs, but also passing it back to you, right? A failure is always a opportunity to get through the mud, create consciousness around something that you weren't conscious about before, learn new skills, acquire more knowledge, know how to deal with different kind of people, navigate yourself through the world like an adult, and then passing on that teaching to other people, which could be a course, which could be a coaching program, which could be a service. You can help people through everything you've mastered. Okay, so that is the ultimate empowerment. As I said, that is true alchemy, that is true transformation. Jumping, like, well, how do you say, like getting hit by a truck, right? Crashing into the wall, failing, right? But dust yourself off and try again, right? Dust yourself off, handle the situation, learn how to mature, learn how to let go of shame, right? And take full responsibility and then learn how you can get out of it. And the faster, if you want to learn fast, you actually hire a coach. You actually hire somebody who can help you with that problem. That is the entire consultation coaching industry. It's people helping you navigate through a certain problem. Okay, so I hope that I gave you some light on this topic, because it is so important to get out of the shame, out of the fear of judgment, out of the fear of being seen as lesser than. No, every person who has conquered something, every person that has actually built genuine confidence has first failed. They overcome the shame. They put on their big girl panties. They handled the situation and they got out on the other side stronger, more knowledgeable, more confident, built through hardship, right? And standing here is the next brick, the next brick, the building block of your foundation to your success. So let me know if there's something that you see different now after watching this video, something you took away, right? Something where you feel like you no longer have to feel ashamed for that, right? You can actually quickly turn it into a success story if you take responsibility and if you do the work to actually get the knowledge, whether it is through trial and error, or you are actually smart and you invest in someone like me to help you get through it faster. Okay, so let me know what you learned, what you maybe overcome, what you reframed, and how you can turn your failure into the next building block of your success. I'm looking forward to see you in the next one, and I'm looking forward to read your comments. Until then, bye bye.